I will take it over from here, and Carol, you can excuse yourself for a second, and we'll switch gears and talk Wizards. Alrighty. So let me bring in all these different members of our Wizards team. We've got a bunch of people on the line ready to go. So the first person I'm going to bring in is Brian Brennan. How are you doing tonight, Brian?
Hey, Robbie. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I've had a couple of technical difficulties on my end, but, trying new stuff on OBS with actually using your old mic that you gave me. So, of course, I didn't press the right input, so the first 20 minutes didn't record, but that's okay. We're here now. We can talk Wizards as we always do, and we'll keep on going. We'll bring the rest of the team in. Arun, you are next. How are you doing tonight?
Not bad. Waiting for the third episode of The Mandalorian, but otherwise I'm fine.
Sounds good. Yes, I'm excited about The Mandalorian as well. Everyone, shout out. I'm not making any money off of this, but go get Disney Plus. If you like Star Wars, it's definitely worth getting. The next person we're bringing in is Tim. Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And don't worry about the recording issues. You're still executing better than the Redskins today.
Yeah, and the Wizards this week. So, there are things
could be
that
worse.
are good, and there are things that could be worse. So, I'm still in preseason. I'm trying to get this stuff ready for season 5. They're actually in the season, but it still looks like preseason. All right, the next person I'm going to bring in, the final member of our roundtable, is the champ himself, DC People's champ, Ken. How are you doing tonight, Ken?
I'm enjoying a cigar and a cocktail, and I was at that Redskins game yesterday, so Tim's shot kind of cut a little deep for me, but anyway.
Yes, but I saw that you got to see our good friend of the show, Rev T, Taylor Fennell, who's awesome, and I know that you got to spend some time with your son, and you got to take him to a game, so that's awesome.
Yep.
I can't wait to take Jack to his first game. I wish it was a better result, but at least you got to go to the game. And I know that it was kind of last minute, so I'm sure that was still very exciting.
It was very exciting to take my son to his very first Redskins game. A lot of the fans there were really receptive to the fact that he was there for his first game. They loved it. He was cheering. Then towards the end of the third quarter, he kind of got disinterested, and at that point it was like, time to go.
Yep. So, but you got to see something. You got to see a couple of people's first touchdowns, so that's kind of cool. So we'll talk more Redskins in the Redskins Hour. I know we're going to have an abbreviated session of this Wizards talk here, so let's get it going since we've got everybody now on the line. I am going to swap this. I have a new way of displaying stats today. So we're going to start off with the Boston game. That was the first game. So I know that a bunch of you guys got to see that game. I'm going to start with Brian. What were your thoughts on what ended up being a 140-133 loss?
Yeah, this was an entertaining game to watch because this was obviously the Celtics, who have gotten off to one of the best starts in the NBA all season. So anytime you get to watch them, it's kind of exciting. And they played really well in this game pretty much from the start. Every time the Wizards would try and fight back, the Celtics pretty much had an answer. The score was even a little bit closer than the game actually ended up being because at one point towards the end, the Celtics had a 16-point lead, and the Wizards were able to cut it down, have gone a little bit of a run towards the end of the game. But, like I said, every time the Wizards tried to fight back in this game, the Celtics pretty much had an answer. That made it pretty tough to come back despite a good game from Bradley Beal, who had 44 points. That's pretty much it. That was a tough loss in Boston.
Yeah, for sure. Arun, did you say that you saw this game as well?
Yeah, they basically the Wizards made it a lot closer in the fourth quarter. I think Marcus Smart, he had 5 of 10 from three-point range, and he really put the game out of reach in the second half. As Brian said, they did make a comeback in the end. I think the Wizards went on a 15-0 run, but they were already down by a lot of points at that point, and it didn't really matter because they kind of have to get I think, like we touched on this before, their defense isn't really good, and a lot of that stems from a young front court with Brian Rui Hachimura, and Isaiah Thomas isn't a really good defender either.
Yeah. Champ, what were some of your thoughts on this actually relatively close loss to Boston, but still allowing 140 points in regulation again?
It's maddening to me because I was observing this game, and it just seemed like the team being off for like 5 days, they just came out flat. It's like they had no pop offensively until midway through the game. Defensively, they just were lacking in all phases, and it just seemed like they just weren't ready to play a game coming off a 5-day layoff and to begin a pivotal road, not a pivotal road tilt, but a road tilt nonetheless. So that's what I noticed from that game, was that they just came out flat, and they really had no answer for what Boston was bringing to them. And I mean, Boston is one of the best teams in the East. So I mean, you have to come out with a fire in your belly and a fire in your heart in order to win this game. And yeah, it ended up being close, but in my opinion, it wasn't close. In my opinion.
Yeah, I thought Bradley did really well, scoring 44 points. But I have the box score up on my screen now. Hachimura played well, 21 points, and Thomas had 18. But the scoring definitely drops off. But the reality is 133 points should be enough. It's the lack of defense, and this seems to be a consistent problem with them. In both of the losses, they allowed over 125 points. And even in the game they won, they allowed 116 points. So, defense is going to – I know that it's a higher scoring NBA, but the Wizards' games seem to be much higher scoring than a lot of other games in the league. And so defense needs to be important. And I even said at the beginning of the season that defense was going to be key on whether we'll have a decent season or not. And so far the season has not been going well because of the lack of defense. Just to jump ahead in time – we're going to go to the next game, which is the Minnesota game. I'm going to start off I'll let people respond because I know Brian didn't get to see it. Arun, did you get to check out this Minnesota game?
Yeah, it was a pretty good game for the Wizards. It was pretty close back and forth in the first half. As Bradley Beal said, whoever plays defense first will win this game, and actually the Wizards did play relatively well defense in the second half. Beal scored 12 straight points. At one point, Mo Wagner, he had 30 points and 15 rebounds off the bench, the first time that's happened since Yao Ming did it with the Houston Rockets in 2002. Him and Kat were getting into it, Karl Anthony Towns with the Timberwolves, and who had 36 points and 10 rebounds. But the Wizards were able to pull it out. Beal also had 10 assists and 44 points, and it was just like all around. It was a good win. I think the key is holding opponents under 120, actually, and not 100, because I think the Wizards would have won all 3 of the games this week if they were able to do that. But they did play better defense in the second half of this game, but I guess they're making incremental progress, but we'll talk about the next game.
Right. Champ, do you have any thoughts on this win?
I like the fact that they broke the streak of giving up over 100 points and losing. They actually won giving up over 100 points, but it looks like now, like the rest of the panel has been saying, if they hold opponents to under 120, they could win games. I like the fact that 5 players were in double figures in this game. Wagner's performance coming off the bench is amazing. 30 and 15, that's amazing. Bradley Beal doing what he does best, scoring 44 with 10 assists. Very, very concerned about Rui only getting 8 points in 25 minutes. I mean, this is your rookie first-round forward, part of that front court with Thomas Bryant and Troy Brown. You would think he would get double-digit points, but maybe he's just slowly but surely coming into his own. But definitely a good performance for the Wizards on this one. Definitely something to build upon. But, again, defense.
for sure. All right, just for timing purposes, we're going to keep jumping ahead a little bit here. We're going to get Tim. I want to get your thoughts on this Orlando loss. I mean, it was a game where Orlando took the lead in the first quarter, and they kind of never really relinquished it. I mean, the Wizards had a good run in the fourth by scoring 44 points, which is kind of incredible, and that kind of brought them, within 4 for the final score, but I kind of felt like Orlando was in control for a lot of the game, and the Wizards had to do this incredible, performance in the fourth to even make it look close. What were some of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of getting the feeling that Bradley Beal is just, he keeps balling, but we keep losing, and he's got to get discouraged. Like, it doesn't matter how many points he scores; they're generally losing. So, the Wizards are playing hard. I think they're more exciting than last year. But, they just can't pull out victories at the end. And, I like that players like Thomas Bryant Jr. are playing well, but, we keep coming up short and giving up over 100 pretty much every game. So, Scott Brooks kept saying this year it's all about defense, but you don't really see the results yet. So, hopefully they'll pull out some of these games, but it's not looking good yet.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep it with you, Tim, real quickly, because I know that you're going to the San Antonio Spurs game, and I am also going to be there, so we'll definitely talk about our experiences next week. Real quickly, what are your thoughts going into that game?
I actually think the Wizards have a good chance because the Spurs started hot. I have a good friend who's a humongous Spurs fan, and he was joking to me like, Tim Duncan can't lose as the assistant coach. But he did lose his first game as the head coach when Popovich was kicked out. I think that was just 1 or 2 games ago. And they're on a pretty big losing streak in general. So I like our chances in that game. The Spurs are not nearly the team that they used to be. They have Aldridge still. They have some talent. But I think we're going to actually get the victory. I'm going to go ahead and choose the Wizards in this game.
Nice. Champ, what are some of your thoughts about this upcoming game?
Well, I'm looking at the schedule, and this schedule is looking a little bit up and down here. You got San Antonio coming up on Wednesday. You got a 3-game homestand. You got San Antonio, the Hornets, and the Kings, and then you got a West Coast swing. But it's got to start with San Antonio. As mentioned, they are on a slide, and they aren't the beasts of the West like they usually are. They're currently sitting 13th in the West, so this is definitely a winnable game, but it starts with defense. They have to play defense. They can't go out there and just think that they're going to light up the scoreboard and have a shootout with teams. It's been proven that they can't do that. They have to play defense, and they have to hold San Antonio to under 120 points in order to win this game to start a good little streak here. So I'm going to say that if they play defense, good defense, they beat San Antonio, and they can begin a good little streak here.
Arun, what are your thoughts on the upcoming San Antonio, Orlando, Sacramento 3 games for this week?
It'll be an interesting – I guess the Hornets always play the Wizards close, and Sacramento, I feel like they just beat the Lakers. And the Spurs – yeah, that's probably, I think I agree, maybe that might be the most winnable game because the Wizards only lost to the Spurs by 2 points earlier in the season. So we'll see. Maybe they could win 2 out of 3, but Isaiah Thomas needs to either pick up his defense or they need to start closing the game out with Troy Brown. Otherwise, just keep them under 120. They would have beaten San Antonio earlier in the season, and I don't know, that's not that high of a bar to set, and that's even just assuming that they'll keep playing this well offensively. Like the Charlotte Hornets, they actually play pretty good defense, and even though Greg Popovich has taken a leave of absence, it's still the Spurs still play defense. So let's see what the Wizards actually do on this next 3-game stretch before this road trip.
Sounds good. All right, Brian, your last one up. San Antonio, Orlando, Sacramento. From a Knicks fan / general NBA fan point of view, what do you see for the Wizards coming up this week?
Yeah, I think these are all. You guys were right. These are all winnable games for the Wizards after a stretch of difficult games and some tough losses. I think they now have a couple of games that they can win, especially with the games all being at home in D.C. The San Antonio game, I'm going to that game as well with Tim, so I'm looking forward to that. This is not the same dominant Spurs team we've seen over the last couple of years. They're still a solid team, but I really think this is a game the Wizards can win on their home court. The Hornets game, the Charlotte Hornets game. The Hornets are in complete rebuild mode. They lost their best player ever in Kemba Walker, and now they've got some exciting young players like Malik Monk, but I think it'll be difficult for them. So I think the Wizards might win that one too. And Sacramento, I think that's more of a toss-up game too, and another tough one. Buddy Hield's a really good player, but I think that one's a toss-up. But I definitely think the Wizards will. I think the Wizards will win the next two games against the Spurs and the Hornets.
Sounds good. Well, this is going to be the end of this Wizards segment, but I really appreciate all four of you for joining me. I'll let everyone get their final thoughts in. I'm going to start with Brian. I'm excited to break down next week with you this San Antonio game with you. Tim and myself are all going, so it'll be a unique perspective on that game for sure. Brian, let people know where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram, and if you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at @BBrian1991, Instagram at @BBrian1991, or you can find all my sports takes and movie reviews at Brian B Sports Takes on Instagram. And my final thought for the evening is the Houston Astros are dirty cheaters, and their 2017 title is forever tainted. Good night.
Boo! Boo!
I like it.
I can't believe you threw that out there, Brian. I cannot believe you went there. We had this conversation offline, man. Sign stealing is everything. They do that in baseball. It only makes sense that technology would get involved, but you have to execute at the plate. You could know a curveball is coming, but you don't know what degree. You don't know what axis is going to be on. You don't know how much spin is going to be on it. You still have to execute. Stick them in the league of NFL has been banned for however long, but you still have wide receivers that use it. You got James Harden with the European step that he don't get called for, but everybody else get called for traveling. Come on, man. That's just Yankee hate right there, Brian. That's just Yankee hate.
Look at the street nigga with knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I think I actually told Brian he should say it, so I'll take the blame for this one because I agree with Brian. They're dirty cheaters.
Oh, yeah, I tried to jump me down. Yeah, I tried to jump me down.
I used to like Houston. Yeah, I rooted for them back then, because I thought it would be good for the city after the flood and all that sort of stuff. But, I can't get behind that. I'm sorry. I know that there are teams that steal signs, but I can't get behind it personally. So I'm with Brian on that.
And you're not trying.
No, I don't. It's one thing to try to steal tips and things off of signs, but it's another thing to have a camera zoomed in and stealing them. That's some BS right there. So you shouldn't be able to use cameras to do it. So that's my two
what's the
cents.
difference from two eyes that's facing two eyes and with a 15-time zoom lens on it sitting back in the center field? What's the difference?
Well, if all the teams are doing it, then that's one thing. If not all the teams are doing it, then that's a difference. So I don't think that the Nationals are doing it, and they were able to win a championship. So it shows that you shouldn't need to do it to win a championship.
Hey, you don't need to go to the luxury tax to win a championship either. But the Yankees did it in 2009.
We did it this year.
We were barely over the luxury tax. The Yankees, they do it every year just because they know they can do it.
Fellas,
but it doesn't matter. We're going to do it every year now, probably too.
Oh my God, fellas, focus.
How did we get into baseball talk anyway? Damn it, Brian! How did you get us here, man?
All right. Well, I've already think about it, Brian.
Can dry his tears with his 27 titles. That's enough, right? Do you really need 28?
Exactly.
Two hands, 2 feet. Yeah, and you can kidnap somebody and steal their limbs too.
Yeah, but anyway, that's
you.
spoken like a true Baltimore Orioles fan right there. And Tim, congratulations on the Ravens.
I can't spell
the Ravens
World Series, man. I can't even spell it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but congratulations on the Ravens. Who knows? They might do it big this year. So they're playing great, and so I hopefully continued success to them. Tim, any quick final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, on that note, if I don't talk to anyone before Thanksgiving here, I'm thankful for this podcast, for the Nats, for Lamar Jackson. I hope the Wizards do well. I don't have any socials to shout out, but it's been fun to hang out with you guys tonight and go Wizards. Hopefully we have a winning homestand.
Sounds good. Well, I look forward to seeing you at the game, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving if we don't talk to you. All righty.
Bye.
And Arun, I'll let you go next. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, Bradley Beal's actually second in the league in scoring with 30 points per game, and I'm also thankful to you guys for letting me do this podcast, and also that RG3 still has a job in the NFL. Thanks.
Hey, all right, Arun, damn it. The last RG3 shot, damn it. Lamar Jackson is what RG3 would have been if he would have shut his mouth in the media. That's what I'm going to leave on a point on that, damn it, Arun.
That's funny. All right, Ken, do a quick shout-out for the No Spots podcast before we let you leave tonight.
Yes, we're actually not going to have a show this Friday because I have an underground wrestling show that I'm going to be a part of this coming Friday night up in the Baltimore area. But we are going to find a way to do our Survivor Series preview. I'll talk to the guys about it and everything like that. And my last final thought is we're going to rename CP3 to Eddie Guerrero Jr. because he's talking about lying, cheating, and stealing and shit like that. So that's what it is.
Hey, man.
But I'm
Whatever
out.
you got to do to win, my friend. Whatever you got to do to win, my friend.
We lie, we cheat, we steal.
All right. Well, Ken, I'm sorry that the Redskins didn't give you a win for your son's first game. I'm happy that you still had a good time with him, and we'll definitely talk to you soon. And have a good rest of your week. And I hope you enjoy that wrestling match.
Indeed. I'll holler at y'all.
All right, bud. Be easy. All right, we got a entertaining first hour. We get ready to go to our music break / video break. Robbie, I'll let you get your shout out before you get out of here. We've been getting to some Redskins talk. We already got Dujanay and Paul, the boxing guy, on the line. So we're going to talk some Redskins. And I'm going to get on my soapbox in the second hour and talk about some things that need to be said because I just need to be said.
I'm curious. There's a lot of topics I would be interested to see if you're willing to touch on, whether it's Monte Nicholson, whether there's quarterbacks in the league doing some interesting things. There's a lot to talk about in the NFL. Oh, and a lot of shoving in action going on in this hockey game. By the way, it's still 1-0 Capitals, 14:31 left in the second period. Tom Wilson is trying to shove some ducks around. But my shout-out, once again, District of Champions merch. Go to SportsOTHP.com. It's in the store right there. You can also go and search Sports on the Hill apparel and accessories on Facebook. You can check it out there. I really love that pillow. I fell asleep on it the other day. It's very comfortable. And you get to rep the champion Nationals, Mystics, and Capitals from the last 2 years and the last 4 years of Sports on the Hill podcast. I wish the Redskins would play better. I might be willing to stay on for Redskins talk if they did. They are pretty terrible. You can see my analysis on while I was playing Pokemon, the new video game. Check it out on SportsOTHP.com. You'll see me be very upset about the Redskins while playing some fun Pokemon. You can sort of find out my thoughts in general there. SportsOTHP.com has all of your latest videos, podcasts, and information. New website coming in 2020 as well, so shout out to that. And sorry again for the audio glitch at the beginning of this video. I may remix it with some of this audio when it becomes live. But thanks for having us on, Carol. As always, it's been a fun show so far. Thanks to everybody on the Wizards Roundtable and the Caps one as well. And once again, shout out to the Power Play Point podcast. But I hope that you and Dujanay and Paul and whoever else wants to call in for the Redskins has a great rest of your show. I will sit back and have some dinner and watch the Caps here and a little Monday Night Football. But if anyone wants to check out my Pokemon Tuesdays, check it out at Webbin Games or my YouTube channel. I'm also on my Twitch channel as well. I'm going to be playing Pokemon and watching sports at the same time. But yeah, so those are, I think, are all the shout outs, and hope you have a good rest of your show and enjoy the music break.